and won $3.7 million in a highly competitive process. And really, we were awarded on the strength of the concept. That being, we saw a great need in the state to develop outdoor recreation infrastructure. And this project, very innovative. I have not heard of anything quite like this that is a public-private partnership of this nature. Will be a facility that is a visitor center dedicated to the outdoor recreation visitor, but also, of course, available to residents. So it'll not only allow that visitor to be educated in regard to the outdoor recreation in the region, but it will give them immediate access to tour operators and outfitters, and really a turnkey way to engage in that activity in the best possible way. It's also, besides public-private, which we love and the EDA endorses because we'll be creating some businesses and jobs in the process, it is a way for the state staff on site to educate the public in regard to conservation and best practices while in our outdoor spaces. And then, of course, just the nature of it, the fact that we're offering guided tours is more sustainable, right? We don't have individual vehicles going to these locations, much easier on the environment. So of the total budget cost of just under $7 million, we have the federal funding, but then also another small state EDA award for site planning for the same projects. And the Tourism Commission then allocated the balance of the budget in lodging tax. So we feel very much endorsed at the state level. The award itself was endorsed by our federal delegation. And then we have, such champions here at the local level in Visit Carson City. So we feel very privileged to have these two locations. We're also building a similar but different facility in Boulder City to serve our metro areas of Vegas and Reno. So I'm just going to jump in here and give you a little background on some of the statistics that kind of endorse the economic value of these facilities. We have almost $1.53 billion in outdoor recreation spending year over year from 2021 to 2022. And that's really remarkable, a 40% increase. So during the pandemic, we had an increased influx of outdoor recreation visitors. We knew that this was happening all over the country. But here, as you can see, the trend continues. We really, as a state with more public space than almost any other outside of Alaska, we really have an economic opportunity here like no other to endorse outdoor recreation revenues for every community in the state. We also have increased visitation to our state parks, our national park, and our outdoor recreation areas, as you can see. So these are the outdoor recreation points of interest that do have infrastructure associated with them, but there's a demand that we need to maximize. We did a small survey, only 151 surveyed, but as you can see, and this was done by OmniTrack, one of our consultants, 25% of respondents said they choose Carson City for an outdoor recreation purpose. So that's significant, and I think something that is very much already endorsed by Visit Carson City. I want to point out and just run through some of the aspects of the enormous marketing engine that is Travel Nevada, and that will then bring value not only to the region, but to the adventure centers themselves, because we already focus on outdoor recreation as one of the premier content points that we use through the website and all of our marketing online. But we can then funnel those that we engage through those channels to the Adventure Center. Our PR team, our international and domestic PR team, attends sales missions throughout the country, talking to journalists and travel writers about outdoor recreation stories and itineraries, also working with our content partners in regard to outdoor recreation activities. One of their primary goals is to place as many as possible stories within the top 100 publications in the country. So these are some examples of some of those significant placements. And then, of course, influencer content. So we're always looking for stories from the point of view of an influencer that already has a significant outdoor recreation following on their own channels. Also through paid media. So we, besides our website, we're looking for the channels and the tools and resources to engage an ongoing conversation about outdoor recreation in Nevada. So, you know, we want people to sign up for our newsletter. We have our travel guide, the Nevada Magazine and Visitor's Guide, which is very successful and popular. We're going to start publishing an adventure guide this year. That same team is going to do that. And these are some of the content partners, the vetted content partners that we use for print, digital, streaming media. And as you can see, there are some significant online travel agents, Expedia, Priceline, TripAdvisor. And we also have a new campaign, which you may or may not be familiar with, Get a Little Out There. So all of our online and social placements have this messaging that is all about not only enjoying Las Vegas and Reno, but looking beyond that to have an adventure in our outdoor spaces, and one that really positions us as an outdoor recreation destination equivalent to any in the West. And that's kind of my overview. I'm going to turn it over to Jason, who is the principal of LGA, and they are our architect of record on the project.
Thank you, Brenda. For the record, my name is Jason Dradorian. I'm principal of LGA Architecture. We are a firm of 25 professionals in downtown Las Vegas and the Arts District. Our actual contract is with State Public Works, but first thing I was going to mention is how great it's been working with Brenda in Nevada Tourism, David with Visit Carson City, State Public Works. We have Kirsten on the call today, and also, of course, Dan, who's sitting behind me. All been instrumental in creating this team and collaborative effort that I'm going to share with you today. With us, we have the prime contract, but we do have consultants, engineers that are working with us. And just to mention those, we have IMEG Corporation, which is a structural engineer that works on the structure for the buildings I'm going to show today. For mechanical, plumbing, and electrical, TJK engineers. For the site development, we have GCW Engineering, they're a civil engineer, and SLA landscape architects that are working on the landscaping for the site. And then finally, OCMI, who's our cost estimator. I think Brenda gave a great presentation about the why and what the project's about. Just to put it simply, it's a one-stop shop for outdoor adventures and vendors and outfitters to connect people to outdoor adventure. Here's the sites and the location of the adventure centers. We're going to talk a little bit about the context here. First off, it's located in the green area, which you see in your screen here. The lighter green area is the location of development that we pinpointed, and which is close to the Carson City Railroad Museum, which you see to the left. So we're essentially in the parking lot of the Railroad Museum. Adjacent to our site are existing restrooms. And you can see the different connections we have. And to the north is the Chamber of Commerce structure to the north of here. The main entry, if you follow the blue dotted line, think about it as the major vehicle traffic on the site. So essentially what we've done is created an alternate route for that full traffic flow. And I'm gonna get in a little bit of detail here to explain what that looks like in a minute. But a couple other things I wanna mention. There's to right adjacent to the site are a mature landscape and a natural wash. So we didn't want to touch that at all. We wanted to stay out of that zone and actually feed that wash with more stormwater, any stormwater generated from this development. Second of all, it's a very visible spot from many different perspectives. One is from the road, you can see a nice visual beneath the canopy of trees. This can be highly visible. And from the train that Dan operates and his staff, you can see tracked around the whole big circle here. And so you can kind of imagine the site sitting along, being highly visible from that experience. And that was something we wanted to play up to and make sure that we were respectful to as being a partner with the Railroad Museum. So the big idea was the forge is an idea we conceptually played with, and you can I'll show you a few examples how this plays out, but really it's just the spark that creates new connections for your visitors to outdoor adventure. Being a good partner, this is on a Railroad Museum site, and we didn't want to be something that distracts from that experience. So we wanted to blend in and create like a true blended experience. A couple of the ways we've done that is through the color materials that are relevant on the site. We're actually you'll see some examples of reclaimed wood that are part of the structure that we're using. And then references to railroad, forging, and Old Town. Here's a kind of a closer view of that green area I was showing you earlier. So I just want to talk about a little about the arrival sequence. The main drive here that comes through, and actually, I think I want to back up because I want to explain that a little bit more because I think it's an important thing to understand. I'm going back to the overall site context. In addition to the development we're doing, we're redoing some striping at the end of this bend in the traffic circle. And so what that does with some restriping and replanning, we're able to add 3 new spots to the overall parking of the museum just through restriping and 1 small curb cut to allow large vehicles and emergency access around the site. And so when you zoom in, you're seeing how we're diverting any vehicle traffic around the site. So even though we're taking some away, the net gain is 3 parking spaces. That includes moving some of the larger vehicle access to behind the museum, and that was been worked out with the museum and Dan and the staff. So I'm going to go back to our plan. So you can arrive at the site from many different ways. You have pedestrian access, crosswalk that connects to the existing sidewalk that runs along the west side of the parking area. We're connecting to an existing sidewalk to the north where that number 1 is, and that will take you also to the restrooms. The number 2 is the drop-off area. So we're creating some extra area off the drive to allow buses to drop off visitors to the site. And then finally, you'll see in some of the renderings some more parking, people who can come park their vehicle and have a separate entrance on the south here. So we'll go over that in a little bit more detail. The program of the Adventure Centers is a combination of 12 vendor locations that outdoor outfitters and tour guides can set up shop. They are protecting a gathering area that you kind of see with the decorative paving down the middle of the site. And then we're providing space for gathering under a large shade structure, which is the number 3. In addition, there are some spots for interpretation, which are highlighted by the 1s. We'll see those in 3 dimensions in a minute. And then finally, speaking with Dave, we thought this was a great opportunity for some public art murals And so the design includes surface to allow that to happen. And those are highlighted by the number 4 on the back sides of the units that we're developing. I mentioned the 12 vendor spots, and also in addition, 1 extra vendor spot could be used by Visit Carson City or Division of Tourism for information, or as kind of a welcome area. All right, I think I jumped ahead too much. All right, I'm gonna go quickly through these 3Ds. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on it, but because I have a short video to play at the end of it, you get to experience it a little differently than 2D renderings. But here's the view as you're walking from that crosswalk we're creating, we mentioned earlier. So to the left would be the restrooms, to the right off screen would be the Railroad Museum. But this is a front entrance to welcome gateway with some decorative panels. And you can kind of get the feel of a little bit old town feel of replicating that nostalgia kind of feel to the site. And then to the right are 2 units that have not the actual mural, but a canvas for a future mural. Here's a view as you enter the site, and you think about these are walk-up windows where visitors can come, get dropped off, can come visit their vendor or preferred choice, get information, purchase tickets, get outfitted. Those will happen through a transactional window, and we're leaving areas for signage for all the vendors who can bring their own signage, which will be above and highlighted as it says signage now, but we don't know who they are exactly yet. So when that happens, you can see the shade structure in the middle and the wood columns, and this is some of the wood we talked about reclaiming, and that's part of the structure that we're using to support this. The materials are kind of a battened fiber cement panel, which kind of mimics the kind of old town look, and that was what we carried throughout the site. Here's another view now from the other end of the plaza looking north. One thing I want to highlight on that shade canopy is a vent stack that the museum is offered to lend to the development and be kind of a highlight, kind of a large gathering area, either for presentations or after adventure activities or whatever that wants to be used for.
Brave adventure.
Yeah. Here's the view from the parking lot. If you parked your car and were entering, again, you get a label of the forge, signage, kind of anvil graphic as you walk in. Here's just a straight shot of the canopy and the vent stack. What's not shown in there is some seats that are developed, concrete bench that people could hang out and watch the train as it come by and kind of experience that kind of majestic view of the train on a curve. And then on the right, you have the very basic accommodations on interior, very clean, modern look to the transaction window. Again, these are ready for a vendor to come in and put their own furnishings in and outfitted the best we could with data and power and things they need for the facility, for their operations. And then if you kind of look from a bird's eye perspective, we're in a tough bidding climate. This project through State Public Works is going to go to bid at some point after our permit approvals. And so to accommodate success we had to create some add alternates. And what those are is we have a base project that will be part of the bid, and there will be alternates as if funding's available would pay off for some of the added benefits. So to get this biddable, we have 4 alternates. I would like to mention them. One being the entry sign, and these are in order. The main signage, Adventure Center signage on this side, that's closest in the aerial. The shade canopy, one of the units on the right, and the second unit next to it. So those are each their own individual at alternate. Our hope is goal is to get it all to happen, but there has to be some flexibility in the bid to make it move forward. One thing I want to mention, I'm going to play a short video. We are We've actually submitted our 100% design documents last week to State Public Works. Today was a page-turn presentation right before this presentation to walk over those documents. And what that means is those are our first submission to State Public Works. They're going to have a building inspector review it, State Fire Marshal review it, and also probably a third-party review. And Kirsten, who's on the call, can talk to that a little bit. But once that's complete, then the project would be available to bid. I'm going to move out of this presentation and move to this and just play the fly-through. And then I'll be happy to answer any questions after. We're looking at the back of the buildings and where that drop-off area is. There's a slight lag in the play, but it seems like it's picking up. I want to mention the mural opportunity are on the back of the units on the right also, and those allow views from the train and from the road. Here you can kind of see the small village, western town concept. And that kind of concludes the presentation. If there's any questions.
Questions from the board?
I have a question. Hello?
Yeah. Damon?
Yes, can you hear me fine? I do have a question. I'm curious what is the process and what are the requirements that you'll be looking at when bringing on vendors? How does that vendor selection process look like?
For the record, Brenda Scolari, we are currently working out the vendor lease terms with state lands. So they will be the actual leaseholders and hope to have a really good mix of different activities represented, obviously. But then we're working out the terms in regard to how long an operator can be on site and just some of the fee structure. One of the benefits here is that the Division of Tourism isn't trying to be profitable. We want the community to profit by this project. I would also say that we are looking to have the museum profit by this project because it's bringing a new visitor and a new audience to the doors of the Railroad Museum. But the lease terms will be worked out very soon. I hope by the fall we'll be able to advertise what those will be and get our vendors signed up.
Board Member Giomi?
What is the what is the projected timeline for completion? I mean, I know there's a lot. I get a lot of hoops, but you must have some thought in your mind on, when you think this might be done.
Correct. And Kirsten's on the call, so I'm going to rely on her a little bit to add to my answer. Right now, beginning the review stage, I think we can anticipate 2 to 3 months for approvals. And then the bidding process, which is ran by State Public Works, could be, I'll let Kirsten pick up from there.
Way to pass the buck.
Kirsten Nally. Kirsten Nally for the record. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Kirsten Nally for the record. And yes, Jason is conveying information accurately. So we will send it out to bid, and Our hope would be that we would begin construction March of 2025, and that we would be complete with construction by the end of 2025.
Thank you. Do you have a sense, have you spoken to outfitters or vendors yet to get an idea as to what, I guess I'm trying to gauge your response and interest level. Do you think you're going to have trouble filling them? Do you think you're going to have to turn people away? I'm just curious what your thoughts are. And I know it's the early stages, but I'm just curious because it's such a new concept and something that we really don't have anywhere in the state. And as a member of the board, I'm thankful that you picked Carson City. We are thankful that you picked Carson City as both a member of the board of supervisors and a member of this board. So that's the thanks wrapped in a question.
For the record, Brenda Scolari, we do know that we have some tour operator gaps to identify. At the location in Boulder City, we have more active tour operators in a multitude of areas. So as I said, in working with Denise and the Division of Outdoor Rec and the Outdoor Business Coalition, we hope to identify tour operators who are interested. And then, as I said, that correct mix of activities and hopefully create some new businesses. So we're going to work with our state partners at the Governor's Office of Economic Development and put together a package that is attractive, have some micro loans available, and we have a significant marketing engine in Travel Nevada there to really help someone be successful and put them in an environment where they're more likely to succeed than on their own. So we hope to fill those gaps, and Visit Carson City has already helped us identify some willing participants. And I'm not only hopeful that we will do so, I'm certain we will.
Yeah, I think it's a good point that if you build it, they will come to a certain extent. And I think people who don't know that there's a business opportunity there because something like this doesn't exist. So I'm appreciative of that thought. And I'll, one thing comes to mind for me, just very locally focused, but could easily be regionally focused, is Santa Fe, New Mexico has an amazing downtown trolley that does seasonal tours. And I've always thought Carson City is a perfect community, particularly seasonally. I don't know that it would work every day of the year, but I could see a trolley, and I've mentioned this before to at this board, where it connects and tours the historic, Kit Carson Trail and out to the state prison, which is, its own tourist spot. So, yeah, it's exciting. So thank you.
You are welcome. And we have talked about some alternative uses for the Adventure Center during the winter here in Carson City, when obviously some of the tours wouldn't be able to be active. And I'm reluctant to get into that too much, but we have I thought of that we could do something else at the Adventure Center. And I know Administrator Thielen has some great ideas in regard to that too.
Well, you might even be able to do some pop-up stores, if nothing else, where someone seasonally might want to put a Christmas store in or something for a number of months. I mean, I could see something like that happening. So, yeah, I really appreciate the outside-the-box thinking. And as I said, I think one of the worst things we could do is build it and have it empty. So I think we all have to commit to making sure that doesn't happen. And I know none of us want it to happen. So thank you.
Is there signage that's going to be visible from Carson Street? I know there's a signage on the north entrance and the south entrance. Is the back of the Adventure Center, I'm just thinking, is there going to be any other signage pointing out?
We've talked about some different options there. I do think the back of the building is a great opportunity for which could wrap into any mural requirements. Would,
And the murals, are they going to be interchangeable? Are they going to stay, are we, the same murals that go in at the start are going to be the same ones 5 years from now? Or is there going to be an opportunity for artists to, something in the works?
Brenda Scolari, for the record, I know Visit Carson City is going to participate in the commissioning of a muralist. We haven't discussed whether that would be in place in perpetuity or whether we would change out the mural. That's an interesting proposition.
All right. Any other questions from the board? Well, thank you. It's definitely, as Stacy said, out of the box thinking. I think it's a wonderful project. Yeah, once we build it, then the hard work starts. But we always push Carson City is the hub of the outdoor in this area, and certainly this helps to cement that. So thank you. Good presentation.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. I think this is a game changer for us. So, and I always say, I think if we want to merge outdoor recreation and cultural tourism together, to me, we go from quality of life to quality of place. And I think this facility will allow us to do that by virtue of being on the museum grounds. I think there's some really cool opportunities. That Smoke Jack, Dan, I'm super excited about the prospect of having blacksmithing, or we can have leather working, maybe some, without getting way off. Brenda, don't panic. I won't go off the deep end, but just this idea of, like you were saying, alternative uses when we're not necessarily wanting to send people up to Tahoe, maybe to kayak when it's 2 degrees, right, and heavy waves up there. But I think there's some really cool opportunities for us to bring those two different economies together at a facility like this, and that's what excites me the most. And so, thank you for selecting Carson City. This is exciting. Thank you. Yep.
All right. And that takes us to item 10, monthly non-action items, presentation and discussion only. David?
Thank you, Chair Jones. We'll take up 10A, Executive Director Update. I just have a couple of quick things for this month's meeting. Thanks to Commission on Tourism, Nevada Commission on Tourism, for approving our fiscal 25 marketing grant request. Thank you, Brenda. $43,607. Lydia, great job on that work. So we're excited to get going on that July 1st, right off the get-go, with some of the co-op opportunities and a creative asset piece to that puzzle as well. So, and then sticking with, I guess, everything Commission on Tourism and Department of Tourism and Cultural Affairs related, 3D Cultural Corridor update. So the Travel Nevada team with their consultants are nearing the final stages of presenting us with a 10-year destination development plan. So we hope within the next couple of weeks, once we receive that, Eric is going to convene the core steering committee to review and solicit any edits, changes, you name it. The idea is to get a single red line document back to DTCA and the Travel Nevada specific team, specifically the Travel Nevada staff, Courtney and those folks. And hopefully they will like any edits that we may or may not have. And that will then open up the actual grant application period. So a little bit of a delay here in the process, but my hope is we'll be able to start the application process in July. So that's all I know right now. And obviously at the August meeting, we'll know more at that point, because we might still be in the process of applying for the grant. So that's my two updates, and I'm happy to answer any questions on either of those if there are any.
I have a question.
Yeah, please, Bobby. Yeah.
Who are they soliciting edits from?
So the ask that I had and in the concurrence with Brenda and the team was the core steering committee. So that group of 22 of us that have been along for the ride the whole time.
Okay.
Eric will get the full group. Well, who's ever left, I should say, because we've lost some, not lost people, but they're no longer in their previous positions. But that group of people, Bobby, that we've had along since last summer, basically, is the group of people that Eric will get together. Is that okay? Okay. And okay, any other questions? Okay, hearing none, let's move on to 10B, transient occupancy tax actual versus forecast. So that's the big sheet in your packet. I'm happy to say, albeit barely, April appears to be coming in a little bit better. Last month, we had a negative 3.91% decrease. We're thinking about negative 3.2. And I think May and June may come in a little better than I readjusted the forecast, but I did take those down relative to last month's projection. So at this point, if you go all the way over to the right, we're looking to be down about 0.29% relative to the budget that we approved, or you guys approved last May of 2023. And then in terms of year over year, anticipated to be down about 3.61%. But again, I think we'll come in better than what you see here. Without the July meeting, obviously by the time we come back in August, the hope is we'll have our actual numbers at that point for April, May, and June in, if all goes according to plan. So that'll be the next update, obviously, on room tax projection. So I'm happy to answer any questions about where we think we stand for 24, if there are any. Okay, hearing none, let's move on to 10C. Mr. Brooks, arts and culture update, please.
Eric Brooks, for the record, we're going to go through, we have a lot to cover, but we can go through it fairly quickly. We're going to talk about the Cinco de Mayo final report, the Mark Twain Days update, the NAC Intersections Conference, and receptions that we can go to this month in June. So we talked briefly about Cinco de Mayo last month, so here we have some final numbers. Friday, we had over 300 people in attendance at the food truck in Fuji Park. 11 food trucks. We had 3 winners. Naomi Tacos got the best overall taco. King of Kings was the People's Choice, and Panini Palace had a cold chicken jerk taco that was very interesting. DJ was a big hit. We just distributed flyers for the Saturday and Sunday part of the event that evening. The overall consensus was that it would be nice to have more activities, especially for kids and families, and that it could be expensive if you had a big family. So more entertainment would help for that. And better signage for the Saturday and Sunday events could be held there on the Friday. Saturday was fairly limited in general. We had the themed wine walk with the DBA. We haven't gotten the final numbers from them, but it was definitely over 200 people. And then we had the performance that was well attended. It was supposed to be 75 minutes long, but it ran at 135 minutes. So they added some material to it. So we did see some people leaving at intermission. Sunday was the big day, so we had vendors, taco stand, live music, mural painting by international muralist Edwin Esco Martinez, kids' activities. We had more than 300 people throughout the day. The Papel Picado, which was an interactive activity primarily for children, and the Loteria had over 50 participants throughout the day, and we had volunteers from the Carson High Latin Club that were fantastic to work with. We had Just Alfredo playing music. The overall thought was it was a little low energy. Because of the other events that were already booked at BAC, we had to go with a quiet choice. Next year will be much different. The response from all the art vendors was very positive, and they had good sales. The performance was sold out. It was free, but it was completely packed. And again, it was a little long, went over 2 hours, and they skipped the intermission this time. But still, we talked with them, and they had the extra material and they just added it because they'd never done it all together. So we definitely got our money's worth out of those performances. And then we had the beautiful tribute piece to the past and future of the Hispanic culture here in Carson City with that mural. It looks like that mural will be added to for the festival in September. So what are we going to do for Cinco de Mayo 2025? We'll get banners over Carson Street, and that will be on my plate. We're also looking to do some big banner work, which Billy has permission for near the Calvary Church on Carson Street, or I'm sorry, at Clearview and 580. We also can use the new billboard, if you've noticed that, coming into town from the north end. Spike with BAC has a connection there. They've already offered to be using that for some BAC events. We'll continue with the bilingual advertising. We did bilingual posters and flyers, and we had free advertising on Mexican radio stations, Que Buena and Telemundo. We also did the press release in both languages, which was great. Thank you, Lydia. Anna with the City of Carson made a point that it would be better if the whole thing was together and not so spread out. And so after a discussion with the core committee, decided that it would all be done at Brewery Arts Center. Saturday will be the wine walk, food trucks, kids' activities, and entertainment, which will all be outdoor. Sunday will be the vendor and art fair in the parking lot, along with kids' activities and food trucks, where the winners will be announced. Will be a 2-day contest and added entertainment. Food trucks will be on 2nd Street Saturday and Sunday, which is similar to what they do during summer events at BAC. And the outdoor entertainment will be on the BAC campus stage with a mix of DJs, mariachi, dance, and ballet with shorter sets of 30 minutes. Oh, Lydia, that's a beautiful picture of you and Spike. And then we've got a little montage. And then we've got the back of the mayor there enjoying some. So this was we'll get into the highlights from Mark Twain Days and kind of a montage for those of you who were able to make it. We had for the bow tie ball, musicians and entertainers spread out through the entire museum, which was a bit of a scavenger hunt and very, very popular. So highlights from Mark Twain Days, more than 100 participants on Friday's events and workshops, which was a great number for a Friday. We had more than 80 attendees in Nevada Inspired Shorts, Saturday at BAC, over 100 participants for the hands-on experience at Ogre's Home. They were very, very happy. They expected about 50. We had over 200 at the bow tie ball, the V&T Railway Twain train. They added a car and very happy, if I can speak for Dave. They were all very happy with that. The medallion minting at Nevada State Museum, again, they were fantastic. All of our partnerships with Nevada State Museum during this 3-day event were very successful. The historic Nevada prison was a sellout. The Riders in the Sky, thank you, Mrs. John. Mrs. John. It was great to have Riders in the Sky for this opening night of that, and that was sold out. Territorial Enterprise Museum in Virginia City sold out. Connections with McAvoy Lane was sold out. Snowshoe Thompson Chautauqua was sold out. The wagon rides at BAC were sold out. So we had a very successful event overall. Big picture, we've already had 2 review meetings. We're going to consolidate some things. We're going to focus on what didn't work and find out how to reinvent those with bigger impact for the community. Virginia City involvement was 100% satisfaction on every possible way. Having them involved made the entire event a more complete Mark Twain experience for attendees and definitely gave people a reason to spend more time and hotel nights here in Carson. We also had congressional recognitions for 32 of the participants in different manners, including Visit Carson City for their participation in the event. We also had a proclamation from our mayor, which was beautifully written, and I won't read it right now since we're due to a little short on time, but I'd be happy to read it to you over the phone if you want to give me a ring this week. So then we have the Nevada Arts Council. Every other year they brought this conference back, Intersections. It's been called different things over the past. And we were one of the sponsors. So Visit Carson City was a sponsor of this 3-day conference, May 30th to June 1st. There's an opportunity for connecting with Nevada's diverse arts and culture community of artists, educators, arts, business, and community leaders. There's a full schedule of workshops, art tours, networking, learning, and collaboration across multiple venues. And that was not just state, but also national. So thank you, David, for talking about 3D. I was out of town, so David stepped up and talked about the 3D project for everyone. And to finish things off, if you want to see some art this month, we have some good places to see it. Tom Gilbertson will be on June 12th at the courthouse. I highly suggest you go see Joan's show at Bristlecone. She is one of the original 5 artists who got the scene going. There were more like 12, but really she's one of the top 5 who established the arts programming at the UNR, and they were doing it before there was even a program. She is a brilliant artist, multidimensional. This is a little bit of a retrospective with some new works. So please come see Joan. And then a really interesting show at BAC, Joho, the New Objectivity, a retrospective of Vera and Bert Joho from Germany. their granddaughters are, one of them lives here in Carson, and they have a huge collection of their artwork. They were art teachers in Germany. They went into hiding during World War II because they were sympathetic to the Jewish cause. So they were in hiding and then came back out. So this is a collection of their work. It tells a really interesting story visually of cities that they drew that are no longer there after the bombings. Also some really interesting portraiture work. And so this is just going to be a short pop-up, 26th through the 30th. Yeah. And there'll be a private reception. You'll all be invited to it on that Friday night. So be looking for an invitation to that. Thank you all. I'm happy to entertain any questions about those events or other things that you may have on your mind with the arts and culture.
Board Member Rader?
I saw the little video that you posted about the roundabout art, and I wondered when that's going to be installed.
Thank you for that question. Anna was the one that posted that, and she's doing an absolutely fantastic job. I'm helping her with it, but she's definitely the one to be given credit for that. I talked with Karen this week. There's still not a definite date, but it's looking like it'll still be summer. It was originally going to be end of June, and with some of the additional conversations about the piece, that got pushed a little bit further. So I'm thinking it will be July, but we haven't gotten a direct date yet, unless you've heard something else, Stacy.
I haven't. I know in the contract, she was given a year to do it. So, I mean, she expressed all interest in trying to get it done by the end of this summer. But, you know, materials, plans checking, we all know how that is. So I have not heard anything.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Eric? No. Great job, Eric. It was a busy May.
I'm just trying to keep up with the rest of the team.
Yeah.
He's kicking butt, if I can just speak on Eric's behalf.
No, I like the fact that you've already identified areas you could do better, or not you, but we could do better as a community in Cinco de Mayo, and it's June, and you've already got a plan for 25. So good job. I like that.
It's like a perfectionist, you know. He cracks me up. So yeah, no, I'm excited. And just those artists you talked through, I think it's amazing what we have coming forward here from an arts, culture, history, heritage perspective for Carson City. So exciting, cool stuff. And BAC will be here. We're hoping to do the full report, if you said that, forgive me, at the August meeting, if all goes according to plan, for Mark Twain Days.
Correct.
Yeah. So good. Thank you, sir. Good stuff. And good stuff to come. With that, we'll move on to 10D, Events and Sales Update. Mr. Wexler, take it away.
For the record, Stu Wexler, Visit Carson City. Just going to recap a little bit of April since we missed that, and obviously the month of May. I did not put this on a presentation, but this has to deal with the Comstock shootout that we normally have in April. It kind of starts our sports, youth sports. This year, because of a new administration that came in, they normally have a separate weekend, boys one weekend, girls one weekend. This year, they combined it because they didn't have time, insurance-wise, to spread out the 2 weekends. So it was a little bit less. They had about 35 teams, which normally they could have 35 teams each weekend coming from different areas, California, part of the state of Nevada. Next year, it goes back to the 2 weekends, boys one weekend, girls the other weekend, depending on how Easter falls as well, you know, in between. So, but they did have 35 teams, about 20 of those from California, and obviously local teams coming from Reno Sparks or Carson City area. So I think next year we'll see an even bigger draw to that attraction, because I've been in, and they can contest too, you know, since 2008, we've been working with the Comstock shootout for years, and it's always been a big draw for the hotels. So and then we'll get to some of the events that have come up. We're going to start with the cage fighting. I do have a little video, and I did edit it before it got very graphic, just so everyone knows. So right after that, it got a little bit more violent, but so this was the first one here. I believe David mentioned as I wasn't here when this was originally set. They did not have a date in Vegas. So they had a major fight that ended up the same weekend as what we had. So the draw was a little bit less. They had approximately 400 spectators, where they had 160 from California, 40 from Oregon, and around 20 from over 60 miles away. We don't know the 60 miles yet. We'll have that in the August meeting. Because of the success and that the owner really appreciated working in Carson, working with the MAC, we already have 2 more dates set up for 2 new fights. The first one will be July 27th. I'm already working with Parks and Rec on that at the MAC Center. And then the next one will be November 2nd. And the owner, Matt Phillips, has to go to the Nevada Athletic Commission to get approval for all these fights. So that was pretty successful. The UFC fight in Vegas did impact our attendance, but the owner, without the fight in Vegas, will expect to add at least another 200 spectators, plus fighters coming from different areas of the region as well. Any questions on the arena cage fighting? All right, and then I did go to the IPW show in Los Angeles this year. This one was close to 6,000 delegates, approximately 70 countries that attended this. So each year, post-COVID, we seem to get more and more international delegates coming from the area. So I had 44 scheduled appointments, had a few no-shows, which always happen, but I was able to schedule some appointments that weren't scheduled. So ended up about 44 appointments total. What I will say is the interest, what I'm seeing, and this kind of goes along with the Adventure Center, what they were talking about, the outdoor activities. I am seeing more interest internationally in our trails, our off-roads. The outdoor activities has really becoming popular internationally. And what I saw on this show is people were asking me about our hot springs. That's become very popular. And now I'm starting to get in calls for golf packages, which the last 2 shows I haven't gotten that. So golfing has become pretty popular in our area, and we have, some of the best golf courses in the area here. So I've been following up. I'm a little bit behind because I was out of commission for a couple of weeks, and the Nevada State Museum as well. There's nothing like that pretty much internationally, where they can go tour a museum that was a state prison. So I do have this, and no, Stacy, I don't know, I can't pronounce her name.
People come to your cities. From this, I know your good work, good people.
So she was
How much
close
did you pay
to.
her, Stu?
I had my flappers with me, the flappers we have, and the one sheets. And when she saw the flapper, she had never, first time in the country to begin with. When she saw the flapper, when I went through it, she was actually literally jumping up and down in a chair. She was so excited. And then she took that, and that's when I took the video. So she was very excited, and I have touched base with her on emails, and it would probably be a little bit before she can get here. Coming from China, it's not the easiest at the time, but she definitely would like to bring some tours, especially when she saw that. She saw Carson City, and she was very excited about our area. And obviously with Travel Nevada, when they do the show, they have their little alien. And so I snuck it over to our side, and we were able to get some pictures. and people were just coming by taking pictures with the alien. So like I said, there's a lot of activity. The museums are very a big interest to the international travelers and also the, the domestic travelers as well, tour operators. Um, we're seeing a lot of activity. The trails we now have become a huge success. We just need to market them, talk about them. But I think international travelers have seen casinos, they've seen Vegas, and they're interested in our venue now, that outdoor activity, the weather we have, what, proximity of where we're located. So that's of a big interest to that. So, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend, but David did. This was a 775 off-road recovery where they had educational about if you are off-roading, if something happens to your vehicle, if something happens medically to someone, they teach you how to maintain that and what to do. So there were over 250 registered rigs, about 500 spectators before the rain came, from what I understand. And now they want to hold a couple events a year, and they want to actually have one for a kids event to teach kids what to do if they're off-roading. Obviously, Prison Hill is a big draw, but they want to be able to show kids what to do if there's an emergency. I think that'll be good. And then David was at the NORC. This is the Outdoor Recreational Conference up in the Event Center. There were over 600 people that attended, land managers, policymakers, tourism destination stewardship partners, and just a lot of leaders in the outdoor recreation. If you have any questions, since David was there for me since I was at IPW, he might be able to answer that if you do have questions. But as you can see, the booth was really nice. And this is Stetna's. So they surpassed last year's registered rider count by approximately 197 riders. They ended up with 616 riders, registered riders this year, which is the highest to date. They did have about 54 cancellations and 68 no-shows. So actual participation was 494 as compared to 377 last year. Carlos will be here at the August meeting to go more into detail. He can give you some explanations more about the no-shows and the cancellations and what happened there and what they plan to do going forward. But everyone had a great time. You can see the bull was working this year. So that was a big draw. Everybody loves doing that. But from what Carlos told me, everyone raved about our area. Just had a great time and just a lot of family fun too as well. And the Battleborn Blades, this is the sword fighting. This is becoming bigger. This is the first time the event was actually live streamed by the Historical Fencing Network. And they live stream tournaments just around the country. So I believe we can make this draw bigger. It's pretty fascinating to watch them. We've gone to it, and we've seen a lot of the equipment they use, the swords, and they had 80 participants with about 80 to 100 spectators over the course of the weekend. And they'll be having another one, which is the women's tournament in September around Labor Day. And this is one of our soccer. This was the Wild West shootout that we have at Livermore Field. Obviously, soccer in our area is huge, and it's a big draw around the state. We had about 108 teams, 23 teams from out of state. 11 teams were from the South Lake Tahoe, and about 74 teams, including teams and those from over 50 miles away, were here. So, and they played a total of 186 games over the three-day tournament, which is a lot for the youth, but it's very big, and they'll be having another tournament here soon. And this was the Sagebrush Classic. I did get to see this a little bit. This was the Model Ts and Model As, Ford cars. This was a 3-day event. They had 80 registered cars, mostly from the California, out of the area, out of the state, and about 100 spectators over the 3-day weekend. They actually want to do another one in 2025. Outside of Memorial Weekend, the Bangor A's Club usually has been doing it on Memorial Weekend, but the folks who run this one, Jay Bolton, would like to do a different weekend that's not clashing with the holiday weekend. But yeah, everyone had a good time. They took rides up to Virginia City, Tahoe. Obviously, these type of cars don't go off-road, but they're pretty cool looking cars. So they will have another, and these first events, they're coming here to see what Carson City is going to be like if they can have, if it's, worth having another event. And they do want to have another event in 2025. And just some of the June events, everyone knows what our June is. We've been doing these for years. The Stewart Indian Powwow, Taste of Downtown, Capital City Brew Fest, and then the Levitt Amp concert series begins at the BAC, which is a huge draw as well. So those are some of the June events that will be happening. And that's it. Any questions I can answer? Thank you.
Thank you, Stu. And I just want to, again, thank the Parks and Recs team. Jen and her staff have been amazing to work with. Again, they covered for us at the National Outdoor Recreation Conference, so Lindsay and Greg actually manned the booth, and took the sessions in, and I think what you're seeing is a great team, because these folks that have just come in, as new events are looking to not only carry forward with that event, but to add a second event. They're very easy to work with. They appreciate the process. So I think it's just been a wonderful partnership for us with the Parks and Rec team. So thank you, Stu, for the update. With that, we'll go ahead and move on to 10E, marketing and a PR update. Take it away, Lydia.
Thank you, Lydia Beck for the record. We've got a fairly short agenda today. We'll kick things off first with launching our new West Side Trails map. So in another collaboration with Parks, Rec, and Open Space, we've created the new West Side Trail map that now includes the Cap to Tahoe Trail as well. These are available in the Visitor Center and kind of all around Carson City. And then we'll be doing, as of Greg this morning, he said that the East Side Trails map will be started very soon. So we hope to have that within the next couple of months. For the web and paid digital media update, I want to remind you that April, we completed our rainy day funds that we had contributed to try to boost one of our slower months of the year. And so we have decreased the spend in May about 50%, and we're seeing about a 50% drop in our web visits with that. However, our engagement and our click-through rate and our cost per click has remained consistent. So we're actually generating clicks at a similar rate and cost. So even though the numbers look down, our engagement is actually still holding strong. So we're very pleased with that. For our May PR highlights, of course, the Carson City to Canada Quest continued to receive our positive media stories throughout the country still. Are the Outside Shows, a broadcast segment produced by Outside Magazine that picked us up, Yahoo Life, and then Adventure is an outdoor equipment guide that also talked about the quest. Coverage from Mark Twain Days continued in May, resulting in several positive stories that were mostly local. And then also thanks to Eric and his tremendous efforts in going all the way to Sacramento for a live TV interview. That was a wonderful pickup in our key drive market. The BAC's Cinco de Mayo celebration earned several placements on Telemundo Reno and also KTVN2 News Nevada, as well as others. And then we also distributed a press release on to the local media on the Moonrock Sci-Fi Film Competition to kind of highlight another segment of our arts and culture scene that is happening here in Carson City. A little more detail on the Carson City to Canada Quest. We wanted to see what the buzz was online on our social media after launching the quest. And overall, this all can't be attributed just to the quest, but we did see a 5% increase in followers across the platforms, We had incredible engagement, wonderful comments like, this is so awesome. I've submitted my app. I've looked at some of the applications of people who submitted on TikTok, and the comments are plentiful of just really positive excitement. I feel like the only negative thing is someone who said it's only $5,000. Other than that, they're like, I'm not sure I could do that for $5,000. And some people will say I would do it for free. So overall, this has just been overwhelmingly positive. You can see the overall metrics below on the bottom are just ones that we posted ourselves only about the quest. So you can see the views and the saves and the likes were all overwhelmingly positive, which garnered us over 350 applicants for the Carson City to Canada quest. So Zach and I are going to do the first run through, and then we have a team put together with Greg Bergeron as well as Lindsay Boyer, who has who's the open space manager, has gauged interest as well in being on that initial review panel, where we'll choose our alternates and our 2 front runners by the end of July. So more to come on that. So I wanted to show you an applicant sample of what these 60-second videos look like of people who were interested in taking the challenge.
Hi, my name is Audrey Payne, and I am a hiking enthusiast that lives in beautiful Boulder, Colorado. Hiking and backpacking are my absolute favorite things, and I get out every chance that I get. A few years ago, I hiked the Appalachian Trail from Georgia to Maine, and it was absolutely life-changing. I loved every second. Since then, I've gone on to hike a bunch of smaller trails like the Colorado Trail and the John Muir Trail in California, the Foothills Trail in North and South Carolina, the Wonderland Trail in Washington State, and I've even gone international, hiking down in Chile and Patagonia. I'm comfortable hiking in all sorts of environments, from the desert to the high mountains and everything in between. And I love sharing my adventures with my social media channels, including Instagram, where I have about 10,000 followers, TikTok, where I have about 15,000 followers, and YouTube, where I have about 6,000 subscribers. I've been dying for the chance to get out on another great big adventure, and I'd love to do the PCT. I hope you'll pick me to represent your new trail.
Yeah, it's been really fun to see these. We've gotten all kinds that have applied, and it's been really fun to see. So we're excited to
Will you show us a
report
few
back.
of them at our meeting in August? I mean, can you
Yes, I
show
hope
the
to.
winning one certainly, and
Yeah.
maybe the most unusual? that didn't get- that you can
I've shared
show,
a few of the
that
most
you can-
unusual
well,
with the team.
I don't think you want those in a public meeting, Stacy. Privately, maybe.
maybe
We'll send those
privately
via
send it.
email. But no, really, they've been overwhelmingly positive and heartwarming and hilarious all at the same time. So yes, we hope to have everything for you in August. And speaking of all kinds, we also wanted to show what our visitor profile looked like for Q3 of this year. So this data that you're seeing is from January 1st through March 31st, and all the data is compared to the year prior of the same time. So the graph that you're seeing here is overall visitation. So this just shows the general flow of how many visitors came during this time frame, and then you can see that gradual uptick coming in March, where we peaked at 8.3, so 8,300 visitors within that time frame. Here's the breakdown of where you see our visitors are spending their time broken out by cluster. So we can even get more detailed into this, exactly what establishments they're even going into for shopping and attractions and things like that. But we want to give a high level overview to kind of see where our visitation and people are being spent. The data, they're changing this so it's a little bit easier to follow. Right now, what you're seeing where it says Carson City is 35.55% are people who were only clocked in the city, not at a specific cluster. The rest are of the people that were in Carson City where they actually spent their time. So I will have a clearer view of that on the next Q4 presentation, but wanted to show you where people are spending their time in comparison to last year. And it is positive that we're seeing a very tiny uptick in this quarter at lodging. Here, you'll see that over 70% of people have an income of 50% or higher when they visit Carson City, and most are 25 years and older. On the right, you'll see that attraction, sports, food, and beverage are actually pulling in higher income levels. And then obviously our age group that you'll see there, that 35% is 45 to 65 is our largest age group, but obviously we're pretty spread out across the board. It was also promising to see that our first-time visitors are quite high in comparison to other DMOs, according to Datafy. So we're reaching people who have not heard of Carson City before, or who maybe didn't consider us as a potential destination to visit before. Our top metropolitan areas here are filtered by, on the left, the share of trips, so you can visualize the top MSAs that visit Carson City most, and their average length of stay. So this is really strong data on both of these sides that help us really inform where our advertising placements are put. And we are still a little baffled about the visitation in Fallon. And so the data that you're seeing here actually filters out commuters. And we're digging a little bit further to make sure that there isn't some anomaly, or if that commuter filter is 10 times per month. So anyone that visits from Fallon 10 times or more per month is actually filtered out of this data. So just something that we're looking into, but we do see a lot of people from Fallon. But also Sacramento, San Francisco, LA, and Vegas continue to be our top MSAs, which is not surprising, but LA seems to be creeping its way up more and more every year. And so it's promising to see that longer drive market coming into Carson City. And lastly, this is actually data from all of 2023. So thanks to Dave and Chris, who so graciously put together all of our lodging tax data. We inputted that raw data into Datafy to be able to cross-compare our lodging data. And so we only have that through 2023, so I don't have any 2024 numbers for you yet, but you can see here our average ADR and RevPAR and supply and occupancy in comparison to 2022, which obviously was up across the board. Yes.
Lydia, I'm curious. You said LA longer drive. Are we sure they're driving and not flying?
Not necessarily, and I may have misspoke, just meaning
I
the
was
farther
just
distance
curious.
away.
Okay, got it.
But we definitely do see people that drive up and make us part of a road trip experience, especially, if they're going up through Yosemite and things like that. But I would say it's probably a pretty good mix of fly and drive.
Thank you.
Can I just jump in there for just a second,
Please do.
Lydia? The regional air service piece is obviously critical to us, right? So you've got Los Angeles, you have Long Beach, and then the John Wayne Airport as well. And I know that Andrew Reno just represented Reno Tahoe Territory on a Southern California sales mission. And that was a very important piece of what's being worked on from a group tour or receptive operator perspective in Southern California, is that regional air service tying in with the Reno Tahoe International Airport. So I think we're benefiting from the increased lift, some additional flights. We had a couple of new airlines come on too, and then I know we lost one, but it's all good, and I think that definitely factors into the mix. And I will say, Andrew did say, folks are not worried about getting in a car, especially from northern Orange County, LA. 8-9 hours, if I'm right, Stu, maybe 10 to drive here. And the idea of coming up 395, and you may be able to take in Yosemite, and then Tahoe, tying that in was a topic that came up multiple times during his presentations on behalf of the Reno Tahoe Territory area. And he covers Virginia City, Carson City, and Carson Valley. So I think that it's all a part of the mix to address your question. So you're welcome. Sorry, Lydia, for interrupting.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. Is there any other questions I can take on the visitor data? All right. Last but not least, Film CC. So we are excited to present our Film CC landing page, our Film Carson City page. So with a great collaboration with Hope and Cecilia from Community Development, as well as Emily Skyle from Cordillera International Film Festival, we now have a landing page and permit application for anyone interested in learning more about filming in Carson City. I wanted to share some really interesting facts that I found. A study found that the impacts of film on tourism can be massive, increasing it by an average of 31% and can go as high as 300% in some locations. In 2017, 80 million tourists chose their holiday destination based on a film. You can only imagine how much this increased with streaming and the popularity of certain shows. We hope that this is now a streamlined, easy to fill out permit application that we are on our way to really making Carson City a welcoming film destination and place to visit. So we wanted to have you scroll through the page, and if you have any input, we would love to hear it.
Do we have any financial incentives? Because that's a big thing for
It is
choosing a
such a
location.
cheap permit application. I think like the most, it's about $200. So what we are doing is adding to the permit application and asking them how they're showcasing Carson City in a positive way. And that way we can help cross promote in that capacity. Emily made a really great point of making sure to ask that question, because she made Reno 911 as a great example of how it might be able to negatively impact a city. So I thought that was an interesting point. And so we are kind of pulling our heads together, trying to find a creative way to incentivize them, because trying to also discount something within the city's budgeting process and financial capacity is also quite difficult. So we're looking for something on our side that we can do.
Can I jump in, Lydia?
Please do.
This is Dave, just to address the question. So we did talk to Hope about that, because Emily did bring that up as far as including incentives if there were to be any on behalf of the city. And Hope did explain that there are not, but there are on the state level, which would be a separate process with the Nevada Film Office. So we're getting close to having this application done. There's a couple of pieces that are in front of Cecilia and Hope right now as far as the state element, and it may not be able to go on the application, but perhaps we can include that on the page itself to allow folks to reach out to the Nevada Film Office about incentives on the state level with those tax credits and whatnot. And I used to remember all that. I don't remember all the nuances behind the film tax credits, but on the state level, yes, but the city, Hope did indicate to us, no.
I was also going to say, if we can do a warm handoff to the person, that makes a big difference too. Because if they've got choice
Yes.
of where they're going to go, the easy button helps tremendously.
So you are absolutely right, Lydia. Were you gonna, oh yeah, you're there. Okay, it's because Lydia is the point of contact. You will see as I'll just be quiet and let you go through this. But we have a whole plan of attack. Okay,
We do.
You talk about Zach then. I'll be quiet. Yeah, sorry. Okay, sorry.
Can I make one comment? And maybe
Please.
you're going to talk about this. I know that there has been discussion about a studio being built in Las Vegas. I have no idea if that's happening or not.
That is very
happening,
much
or-
true. Mark
um,
Wahlberg is
Right,
spearheading that.
Yeah, I knew he was, and I don't know what the status of it is, but obviously there's a natural connection there. If that does get built, to at least knock on the door and let them know, hey,
Absolutely.
we're here, a little brother to
Absolutely.
the north, So anyway,
Yes, and Emily Skyle up in Reno is really spearheading incredible things for filming in Nevada in general, especially in Northern Nevada. She's really put us on the map to be a contender in this space, especially with Jeremy Renner being in Reno too. I think that collaboration is pretty incredible and just starting a movement here in Northern Nevada. And now we have a place on the map. So we're very excited to have, this is just, the first step. We hope this is really easy and streamlined. This is not the final permit application, but this will take you to the fillable PDF, which they just email directly to Cecilia. It's very easy to fill out. And then we have contact information for myself. I will be the point of contact for anyone who needs questions. Anything that needs scouting, Zach is also going to be a part of that team to help take them out, do tours, go out, shoot whatever they need to see if it has exactly what they're looking for. Even just the other day, Emily was asking if we had an ER that was visible from across the road, because they wanted a very specific shot for something that they were filming. So it's going to be very detailed, and Zach is really the perfect person for that. He comes from a production background, and so we're very excited and grateful to have him on board. He really is a unique asset to the team. And then what we've included here are all the potential filming locations of what we thought were some of the highlight areas. So one of the big things that they're looking for, according to Emily, is kind of that Americana historic vibe. And so we've got these all linked to photo shelter galleries that they can scout and see what might look dreamy or specific to them. And so all of these have their own gallery of all the assets that we've collected over the years and pooled together. So schools was a big part of it, haunted houses. I've also cross-referenced this with the Nevada Film page as well, that have all of they have very dated photos, so I'm excited that we actually have some fresh content for them, but I pulled all the content that they were looking for from there as well. Railroad Museum, casinos, gaming, anything that we really thought might be worthwhile. And then we have photos of all our local business facades. So if there's any local business owners that don't see them on there that would like to provide photos for us to add to this page, I welcome them. Please send them to me. I would love to add them or add any galleries that we see fit. And then we have them able to actually see all the galleries at once. So all of it's very easily accessible. And then we have our socials just in case there's something unique that they might pull from inspiration from there. And that is all I have for you today. If there's any questions I can answer for you, I'm happy to take them, but thank you for your time.
That might have been the fastest I've ever heard you speak. Was a lot
The
of
long meetings, I
information.
like to get you out of here as soon as I can. But thank you.
I'm working on brevity is key, is what Chris said. So we're working with the team on that front, Chair. So Lydia's being modest. Yeah, yeah, I'm the leader. You know it. I see Stacy. Yep, saying yes. Lydia created that page. Great job. And again, the partnership with Hope and Cecilia working with us, I think it's a great partnership that we have now. There are several projects that Emily has mentioned where folks are really interested in coming to Carson City to shoot these docuseries, movies, whatever the case may be. So making this easy, I think, is a critical mass. So, all right, if there are no questions for Lydia, we'll move on to 10F, future agenda items. Would anybody like anything added to our August meeting? Okay, not seeing any takers. We'll move on to 10G, upcoming meeting. Again, no July meeting with the move scheduled, so August 12th. We're right back here in this room at 4 p.m. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Chair Jones. Thank you.
Thank you, David. We'll move on to item 11, board comments or announcements, requests for information. I've got a comment, and it's for those of you who don't know, this will be Bobby Rader's last board meeting as a member of the board. She's served here very admirably for the last 4 years. We've been better off as a board for her presence, her input, her expertise. And Bobby, I can't thank you enough for all the contributions that you've made in these last 4 years. Sorry that we can't replace you, but thank you for everything.
Thank you. It's been my honor.
All right, with that, we'll move on to item 12, public comment. Anyone?
Mike,
Oh.
for the record, Dave Peterson, I just want to say, just give me 1 second. Thank you, Bobby. I mean, it has truly been amazing having you on the board, and certainly we have enjoyed, and I think I speak for the team, working with you on all things Stewart Indian School, Cultural Center, and Museum related, and your input, your guidance on arts, culture, history, heritage related things has been most appreciated. In the light of time, I'm going to save my 15 minutes of remarks and just end it with thank you very much.
We'll get a plaque.
How about a pen? Oh, that lights up, Stu. Oh, you got a special one, and we have another one with a ruler or a bubble or a level or something. Yes, so you're going to get 2 pens.
Can I mention one thing, Chair? I'd like to add the thanks from the Board of Supervisors' perspective as well for your service to our community. But at our last meeting, we did fill the role with Andrew Reno, who has done a lot of work with DMOs in the region, a lot of work in the casino industry. And we had 2 applicants and only one showed up, but both were quality applicants, and I was very impressed with Andrew's answers. And I think he'll be, while not a replacement for Bobby, a great addition to the board, and he should start at our August meeting. So
We have a public comment.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Anna Freeman. I'm the Arts and Culture Program Supervisor in Parks and Rec. I just wanted to state on the record, thank you to Brooks for all the information, but the roundabout, our latest update is to expect installation in September.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to our last item, and that's to adjourn. If I could get a motion,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
a second, and we're adjourned.